All right, let's jump right in. We're going to explore this high-stakes philosophical wager. Think of it as a conflict between two totally different destinies for humanity, each one pulling us in a completely opposite direction. So, let's get into it. It really all kicks off with one single, really powerful question. What if your greatest fear wasn't pain or even failure, but just becoming nothing? A slow slide into apathy and meaninglessness? That's the fear that drives this whole story, right? The terror of becoming completely and utterly insignificant. Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this wager, we've got to meet the key players. First up, you've got the desperate scholar, a guy who's just terrified of his own decline. Then there's the corporate tempter, and this is a fascinating character, an agent who literally makes a business out of denial. And finally, the result of their deal, this amoral, godlike being, born not from struggle, but from a really, really dangerous shortcut to power. So these characters, they're basically caught in a tug of war between two powerful, opposing ideas. And getting a handle on these two philosophies, well, that's the absolute key to understanding the terrible fate our scholar was so desperate to run from. So first, let's talk about the path of the last man. This is where humanity could end up if we decide comfort is more important than anything else. It's the slide into what the sources call complacency, smallness, and the total avoidance of difficulty. Basically, it's a life where you're just looking for warmth and ease, and there's absolutely no room for big dreams or ambition. In this quote, man, it just perfectly captures the hollow victory of the last man. Their happiness isn't real joy. It's this tiny, manufactured thing. They're not actually experiencing the world in all its chaos and glory. They just blink at it, totally content in their little risk-free bubble. Now, the complete opposite of that stagnation, the antidote, is the will to power. And this is so crucial. This is not about dominating other people. It's about achieving power over yourself. It's a whole philosophy built on constant growth and self-overcoming. It's an idea that doesn't just put up with struggle, it actively runs towards it, saying, this is the only way to become something great. And this right here, this is its battle cry. To be a yaysayer means you affirm all of life. The good, the bad, the pain, the joy, the chaos, the struggle, everything. It is the polar opposite of the last man just blinking away. This is a loud, roaring, full-throated yes to all of existence. Okay, so here we've got the two paths laid out, side by side, and the contrast is just crystal clear. On one side, you've got the bleak spectacle of the last man, a life of avoiding anything tough, of making everything small. And on the other side, the creative struggle of the will to power, which is all about embracing that glorious struggle to become stronger. I mean, the choice here could not be more stark. So that's the philosophy, right? But how does a choice like this become a real-world threat? Well, it gets weaponized. We're about to see how apathy becomes an actual, literal business model, sold to us by a very modern kind of tempter. So let's meet our guy, Mr. Synestus, also known as the spirit who denies. Now, the sources are clear on this. He's not some cartoon demon with a pitchfork. No, he's a slick, cynical operator in a sharp business suit. And that is so important because it means denial isn't just a personal weakness anymore. It's an institution. It's a corporation that makes money off our desire to take the easy way out. And of course, he's got a playbook. It's a repeatable 4-step corporate strategy. Step 1. Target the fear. He finds that deep, nagging dread of becoming the last man. Step 2, offer the shortcut. He provides some kind of super science access to skip all the hard work of self-overcoming. Step 3, demand the price. And that price is the quiet transfer of independence and your ethical rights. And the final step, the end game, prove his cynical thesis that humanity, every single time, will choose safety over freedom. So what happens when the deal is done? What does the world look like when the spirit who denies wins the bet? Well, the result is what you could call a utopia of comfort. And believe me, it is absolutely chilling. And here's what's maybe the most gut-wrenching part. This final state, it isn't forced on people. In a moment of collective weakness, the crowd literally screams for it. They reject the hard path of the overman, the person who embraces the will to power, and they beg, they plead to be turned into the last man. They actively choose comfort over greatness. And the overman, that godlike being created from the bargain, he gives them what they asked for. He uses his insane power to roll out an enforced last man state on a global scale. And just like that, the triumph of denial is complete. So, what's day-to-day life actually like in this so-called utopia? Well, sure, conflict and struggle are gone, but guess what else is gone? Aspiration. Meaning itself is actively stamped out. The entire population becomes this collection of contented, sofa-bound citizens. It's a world with zero risk, but also zero purpose. Every human struggle, every great achievement, is proven to have been completely and utterly pointless. Now, it's easy to just write this off as some dark sci-fi story, right? But the sources frame this as a choice that is very, very real. This wager, it's being made in small ways every single day, right here in our own world.
I want you to think of the spirit who denies as a kind of philosophical gravity. It's not some loud, in-your-face force. It's that constant, subtle, heavy pull downwards, pulling you towards ease, towards weakness, towards the comfortable lie instead of the hard truth. It's the very inertia that the will to power is meant to fight against. And that really brings us back to the core question for all of us, doesn't it? As our world gets better and better at engineering comfort and convenience, we really have to stop and ask, what is the true price of total comfort? Think about it. Where in our own lives, in our communities, in our society as a whole, are we making that trade? Where are we choosing the simple, easy, comforting lie over the messy, difficult, but ultimately much more meaningful truth? And finally, let's bring it all the way home. Make it totally personal. Where do you hear that voice, that spirit who denies, whispering in your ear? You know the one. The voice that tells you to play it safe, don't rock the boat, just settle. Because just recognizing that voice, well, that's the first step to winning this wager for yourself.